Alright, team, so we're back, of course, to talk about some Square Enix, Final Fantasy. It's been a conversation for a long time about Square Enix being acquired, and generally speaking with this conversation, it's always been about Sony acquiring them, right? Because they've had a working relationship with Sony since the 90s, right? With FF7 original. If not for the, relationship between PlayStation / Sony and Square Enix, like, FF7 was initially going to be on Nintendo, right? Because that's where they were initially at with the franchise. And if that never happened, who knows where the franchise would be today. But the main thing from that, at least for me as a Final Fantasy fan, is we never would have got FF7 original. It would have been a completely different game had it been on like N64 or whatever it was initially going to be on back in the day. So they've always had this working relationship. And even till this day, right? Over the years, they've had plenty of exclusive games when it comes to PlayStation. And in more recent years, of course, we have Remake, Forspoken, FF16. In the future, we got Rebirth and the third game and probably other projects as well. What's interesting, though, is that we recently learned that, at least back in like 2019, Microsoft was interested in acquiring Square Enix for like mobile Game Pass and probably other reasons as well. We learned this because of like there's like a court document that came out from like I guess like a recent hearing with like Microsoft and the Federal Trade Commission. It's certainly interesting to think about. Like Square Enix, in the grand scheme of things, isn't worth that much when you're talking about the money that Microsoft has. Like, as of like this month, we learned that Square Enix is worth like $5.5 or so billion, which is still obviously no shit, a lot of money. But Microsoft's worth like $2.5 trillion, right? And obviously that's not just like cash. They don't have $2.5 trillion just to spend on whatever they want. It's obviously like in stocks and all kinds of other shit too. But the point is they have so much money to play with. Like a $5 billion acquisition's not really anything to them. Especially when they're trying to get Activision for like $80 billion, right? So like that's nothing. That's actually, at least the net worth of Square Enix is less than what they acquired Bethesda for. Now, if they were to buy Square Enix, it wouldn't be what their net worth is. It'd be more than that. It'd be probably around 7 or 8 billion, maybe 10 billion. I don't know. It might be more than the Bethesda acquisition. I don't know. Bethesda makes quite a bit of money though with their games. So I'm not entirely sure what the acquisition cost would be for Square Enix or whatever. It's actually kind of funny when you think about it too, because I've always felt like the Bethesda acquisition, I guess technically they bought like ZeniMax Media or whatever it was, but like the Bethesda acquisition, it just didn't seem that high in the grand scheme of things because like they bought it for like 7 or 8 billion, I think, somewhere around that. It was definitely less than 10 billion for sure. When you look back to like 2015, like Fallout 4 made almost $1 billion by itself in like 24 hours. Like it sold like 12 million copies in the first day and like $750,000. One game. And then they bought the entire franchise and Elder Scrolls and Doom and Wolfenstein and all that other Dishonored and all the other shit that's under the Bethesda umbrella for like 7 or 8 billion. Which is kind of crazy considering how successful in the future like a Fallout 5 will be or an Elder Scrolls 6. I say that, and those games are going to be successful, but it also kind of comes down to whether or not they're going to be exclusive, because there's a lot of talk of like, obviously Starfield's exclusive to Xbox now, and whether or not like Fallout 5 and Elder Scrolls 6 are going to be exclusive to Xbox. It kind of makes sense that they're trying to make some money back and keep people on the Xbox platform, but also it's like a multi-billion-dollar investment. So I don't know if they're going to want to have those games on other platforms to make some money back, because obviously the PlayStation fan base is massive. Like they have like the PS5 has sold like a double or more, I think, of like the Series X/S, if I'm not mistaken on that, somewhere around that range. And obviously like PS4 versus like Xbox One wasn't even a comparison at all. And actually, if we just want to continue with like that Fallout 4 comparison versus like Square Enix, like it took like Remake, for example, like a couple days, like 3 days to hit like 3.5 million sales, right? Now, obviously, we're talking about multi-platform, but still, Fallout 4 hit 12 million in one day. And even if you want to compare it to like Final Fantasy 15, which came out on like multiple platforms, I think it only hit like 5 million in the first day or something, right? So like the comparisons aren't even really there when you think about it, versus like a brand new numbered entry for Final Fantasy versus a new numbered entry for the Fallout franchise. So it's just kind of crazy how I feel like how cheap they got the Bethesda archive or whatever, the Bethesda library. And I don't know what you would acquire actually Square Enix for. I don't know how you do that stuff. I don't know how you come to a value on that. Now, looking a bit more into this IGN article, they say, according to this new document from 2019 submitted as evidence as part of the hearings, Microsoft listed several reasons why it should acquire Square Enix. This included bolstering Xbox's presence in Asian markets and providing access to Square Enix's portfolio of games such as Kingdom Hearts, Dragon Quest, and Final Fantasy. These franchises would drive the adoption of Xbox Game Pass and Project Scarlet, one of the previous codenames for the 4th generation of Xbox consoles, Microsoft said. And look, before we continue, I want to be clear, I'm not an Xbox fanboy. I'm a grown-ass adult. I have all the consoles. I got a Series S right here, PS5 over there, a Switch in a drawer somewhere, right? I have it all. We play it all. We're adults these days. I think it makes a little bit of sense that they want to move into the Asian market. Like, acquiring Square Enix would help to do that a little bit, right? Because, like, honestly, PlayStation has a chokehold on the gaming community as a whole. Like, right next to, like, probably Nintendo might outsell them. I don't know about that. But, like, especially in Asian countries, like, the PlayStation is so much bigger than Xbox, right? Like the Series S versus like the PS5 and like PS4 versus Xbox One. Like Xbox just doesn't really do that well over there in like Japan and stuff. And if they were to acquire Square Enix, where they're getting like these JRPGs and stuff like that, it might help them a bit. And I kind of understand that logic behind it. How much would that work? I don't exactly know. Would people in Japan be running out and buying their Xbox to play the next Final Fantasy? Like, it might have some sort of an effect. I don't know how big of an effect it would be. Because there's plenty of other great RPGs and other games that are on the PlayStation platform, right? Plenty of other reasons to buy a PlayStation besides Square Enix. And we continue. More interestingly, the document reveals that another reason Xbox should buy Square Enix is it would have provided mobile segment growth for Xbox. Microsoft said buying Square Enix would have helped future mobile exclusive Game Pass offerings. Game Pass is currently available on Xbox and PC, with games playable on mobile via the cloud. While Microsoft's presence on mobile is minimal, Square Enix has what Xbox described as a robust mobile-native portfolio. I'll be completely honest, I've never even gamed with like mobile Game Pass via the cloud, but I've definitely had Game Pass over the years and shit, so I'm assuming what they mean here is just like future Square Enix games, in theory, if they were acquired by Microsoft, would come out on Game Pass and just be another reason to own Game Pass, essentially, is what I think they're saying here. Or they're talking about straight up mobile game stuff, man, because Square Enix got some pretty big mobile games. It's unclear how far Microsoft took its interest in Square Enix. While the document reveals a strategy approval plan, we do not know how far up the Microsoft chain it managed to climb, or if contact was made with Square Enix, what if any response was made. However, in the context of recent high-profile PlayStation-exclusive Square Enix releases, such as Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy XVI, it's a case of what might have been. Kind of ultimately the thing here is it doesn't really matter. For one, this is old news, right? This is like a 2019 thing where they're trying to get Square Enix. It's 4 years ago at this point, roughly. And we can see that in recent years they want to work with Sony at least. Whether or not they want to be acquired by them, I guess that remains to be seen as time goes on. Or whether they want to be acquired by anybody. I don't know if they have a say in that though, right? Like, aren't they a publicly traded company? Couldn't Microsoft just buy them if they wanted to? Like, I don't know if they can like argue against it or fight against it or take a lower offer or what. I don't know exactly how that works. Admittedly, I don't know this shit. I'm just somebody talking about it a little bit. As I said in the past too, I'm not a big fan of exclusives. Like, I get it. I understand why they exist, obviously. But I just wish the games came out on everything so it's just easier for everybody to buy. And like that's kind of how you make the most money. I guess it sort of comes down to how much is like Sony paying Square Enix to keep Final Fantasy like exclusive to the platform. Like, I don't know how much, if that amount makes up what they would make if it was coming on Xbox or Game Pass, or if they could somehow put it on Switch and stuff like that, right? Like, I don't know how much Sony's paying them. But like, it'd be nice for the franchise to make more money, right? Like, if the games are making more money, then they can invest more into the next game, the next, Final Fantasy VII sequel, or the next numbered entry, or the next spin-off game, and those can be like better than they initially probably could have been, etc., etc. It's a cycle, right? If they're making more money, they can invest more in the games. And obviously, the Final Fantasy games are doing well. Like, there's no problem there, but maybe they can make more money if they were also going to the Xbox platform, potentially. And it all comes down to whatever that number is, whatever that amount is that Sony's paying them. And I wonder if it's like a per game thing, or if they have like some sort of deal where it's like the Final Fantasy franchise going forward for the next couple of years, the next couple of releases, they're only coming to PlayStation. Do we even have anything on that? Like, have we ever known exactly what that working relationship is? Talk about it a lot, but that's got to be like publicly disclosed somewhere, right? We have to have something somewhere on this. Like, why are they? Like, what is that number, etc.? Because they also, with Remake, they had like some sort of working deal with Epic to drop Remake on Epic first, and then it came to Steam eventually. And it's like, what is the number on that? Like, we got to have some sort of public information on that. Like, how much did Epic pay them or whatever the fuck to keep it on Epic? Like, we have to have this information somewhere. I feel like we've never talked about that, if that does exist. If it does, like, definitely link me to something. I'd love to like look at that and talk about that at some point, if there's something out there to look at. Anyways, that's more or less the video, my dudes. It's a little bit lengthier than it probably needed to be, which kind of happens a lot. It seems like with these videos, I feel like I'm saying this all the time. We haven't really been like super consistent with uploads, but I've also been trying to grind FF16 in my free time. I'm pretty close to the end. As of you guys seeing this, I've probably beat the game by now, but the side quests in that game take up so much time. I put this out on Twitter like last night, as of recording this. Obviously, I'm not spoiling anything for you guys, but I'm really close to the end of the game, and then like it opens up like, the side quest like it does throughout the game, and there's like zero bullshit, maybe like 15 side quests that unlocked, and some hunts and stuff to do as well. And obviously, if you've played the game, like these side quests can take a long time, especially when even if you just unlock like 3 or 4 side quests, that could be like potentially hours of content. So it's like, I kind of want to finish the game, but like I don't want to not do the side quests. So it's like I'm looking ahead at like hours and hours of content before I can even like finish the game. And it's like, fuck, dude. I want to finish 16, but I want to do everything I can as well. So that's what's been taking so long with like doing a playthrough. Again, no hate to anybody if you've grinded your ass off and played a shit ton of the game and like finished it already. But it's like, I just don't understand how people have, because like it's taken me fucking forever. Anyways, that's the video. Subscribe if you guys are new. Social networks in the description below. Follow me to /davidbusiness. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more. And nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine, or leave it like Cobain.